Hey guys, PIEGUYRULZ here with,
Monsters Review.
and we are going to be talking about the fact that Adventure Time is ending. I mean, don't get too sad because it's like 2 years from now. You still got a lot of time to
Yeah.
jump on the Adventure Time bandwagon, but it is definitely ending. This is not a hoax like SpongeBob. They confirmed it. What is your experience with Adventure Time?
Well, when it first came out in like 2010, I watched that original pilot and I really liked it. The one for Nickelodeon, and I loved the first two seasons, like with episodes like the End Kyridian. I really liked that kind of stuff. But then I just kind of faded away from it. I started losing interest around season three ish. But in these past few months, I've tried to get back and try watching some more recent episodes. So
Well, you guys know my opinion on Adventure Time. It's kind of gone up and down. It used to be like one of my favorite shows ever, and I still do really love the earlier material. But ever since like season six, I go up and down. There are some episodes I really enjoy, but in general, I do feel like the show has lost its touch. But I think it's undeniable that the show has had a huge impact on Cartoon Network, which is why I think people are having such a strong reaction to it ending because even if you never watched it, that show, along with regular show to an extent, did kind of revive Cartoon Network.
yeah.
The stuff they were doing around, like right before Adventure Time, was the CN Real stuff, which was the please no, make it stop. And then before that, they had a lot of shows that I think were like okay shows, like My Gym Partner's a Monkey and Squirrel Boy and stuff
hmm
like that were not big hits. They were definitely, they had their fan bases, but they were not big hits. And Cartoon Network kind of needed a really big hit to say, all right, look, we're sorry for the live action. And I think that was Adventure Time.
I wasn't really surprised to hear that Adventure Time was ending, just because it just really hasn't been as prevalent on Cartoon Network. But uh, I think it's fair to say that like Finn and Jake and Adventure Time has been this huge phenomenon, and they're like
Mhm.
pop culture icons of the 2010s. I mean, you see everything, not only other animated shows, but for example, I was looking at these recent like Lucky Charms commercials, and the art designs look just like what you'd see on Adventure Time.
Yeah, they just did an Adventure Time Simpsons couch gag.
Oh yeah, I saw
Like,
that. Yeah,
yeah, the Pendleton Ward helped out with that. It looked fantastic.
yeah, it was great.
Right, yeah, they are pop culture icons. And again, even if you're not watching the show, like you see them in a lot of places. Now a little bit less now, but like
hmm
the impact of the show, we would not have had Over the Garden Wall, Steven Universe, or Clarence without it.
hmm
Like there's no way. Even if these creators still had these ideas in their mind, we would not have gotten those shows when we got them, and they wouldn't have been the same shows otherwise. Like I absolutely think that Rebecca Sugar's time on Adventure Time was uh very, very instrumental in her being able to make Steven Universe the way it was.
hmm Since the show had a huge impact on Cartoon Network, I don't know how they're going to be able to replace it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not crying for Adventure Time being gone. I think it's about time, to
Yeah,
be honest. But I am concerned because Adventure Time is ending, regular show is ending. Gumball, I've heard really mixed things. At the
yeah,
very least, the
yeah,
creator is leaving. It might be ending,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, and yeah, like we hear just a lot of these shows ending at once, and it's like, guys, do you have something like big that we don't know about, or is this going to be replaced with like Teen Titans 2, an extra Teen Titans Go show just to fill the time?
And these are
Uh,
like the huge shows that like built 2010's Cartoon Network.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think another impact that Adventure Time had was that was like the show again, along with regular show, that really was like for older people too, like
Oh
not
yeah, it's got a
not
cult following.
explicitly. Yeah, like there's a lot of episodes of Adventure Time that I would not say are things that I would expect kids to enjoy, but absolutely stuff that I would expect the older set to enjoy. And so again, like even just beyond the shows that it directly like had creators come from Adventure Time, it definitely was a big inspiration for like I would say even like Gravity Falls,
Definitely.
like stuff like that like just kind of showed like, hey, look, you can do stuff that's like skews a little bit older. You can have these shows that are definitely kid friendly, but not just like, hey, let's slip in an adult joke here and there, wink wink, but like you can have shows that deal with like here's an episode about Jake embracing the fact that he's going to die. Here's an episode about metaphor for Alzheimer's. Here's all this stuff that you can do because there is a want out there for more mature animation.
Yeah, some of my favorite shows of all time are typically ones that people look at as kids shows, but for the most part, they deal with mature themes like existentialism and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, like Adventure Time is definitely a show that kind of led the way on that, and it's weird because Adventure Time had this like bizarre evolution because it started out, yeah, speaking of the OEA cartoon short, um it was basically just like, here's a show that felt like a cartoon,
hmm
like it felt like a classic Cartoon Network show, which is super bizarre because it ended up turning into a show that was, you'd never see something this
bizarre.
yeah, this deep. I mean, I don't know, maybe on Courage the Cowardly Dog, but
Yeah,
like not this experimental on a 90s or early 2000s show. Like it this feels like a true evolution of the medium to being something else. And even in a lot of stuff that I think is like kind of pseudo intellectual and like too out there or whatever, I still definitely have to give it credit for at least trying to do these stories and do this thing that you didn't see cartoons doing back then, and only now you see cartoons doing because of Adventure Time.
oh yeah, yeah. Adventure Time definitely left its mark, and to be honest, once all these shows end, including Adventure Time, maybe that means that there's going to be a new shift or some new form of animation that becomes popular.
Yeah. um and financially it was successful for Cartoon Network.
For sure, yeah.
Like, yeah, there is tons of merchandise. It's, I think because of the simplistic design of the characters, very very easy to slap Finn or Jake on just anything.
Totally.
They're like SpongeBob in that regard, that they're very very universal. I mean, Jake's a shapeshifter. You could do literally anything with that marketing wise. And they have, just put his little eyes and jowls on like a hat, and it's like, Jake is the hat. um like the marketing just kind of writes itself in that regard.
Totally.
I personally think that the show has declined over the last few years. um I'm known for having the controversial opinion that I'm not crazy about season 6, and I think that that's kind of the season that the show's sinking. Although again, I did enjoy Stakes. There are things after that that I think are enjoyable, but
hmm
in general, I think the show kind of has lost its touch. But like, even putting that aside, my personal opinions, the viewership is not as strong as it was. It used to pull like 3 million, like,
hmm
2+ million. Now it's like 1 million. It's not terrible, but it's definitely on a downward slope. And also, just in terms of internet discussion, like, you go on the subreddit, and I've seen, like, years ago, when season 5 was airing or whatever, there'd be like thousands and thousands of comments, and now I just don't see that anymore for discussion. Like, it's not that people don't know what Finn and Jake are, or Adventure Time is. The brand recognition is there, but it just seems like less people are actually physically watching the show today. And of course, you could say that Cartoon Network is airing it not very much, and
Yep.
maybe that's the problem, or maybe that's a symptom of the problem. I don't really know, but regardless, I think it's fair to say that the show has kind of been on its way out for like a year or two.
I mean, this probably isn't really a big reason either. This is I just kind of want to put this out there.
Hmm.
Pendleton Ward, who's obviously the guy who created Adventure Time, he stepped down during season 5. And even though he still does work on the show sometimes, and he has some creative input, usually when you see animated shows and their creator leaves, usually that just kind of marks a creative decline in the show. For example, with Steve Hillenburg on SpongeBob and Craig McCracken on the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I mean, that's that's where I say the show started going down. And I think that a lot of people didn't have the same, like, my reaction was like, oh, I gotta get out and like make a video talking about how, like, man, I really dislike the creative decisions they've made. But I think a lot of people kind of had not necessarily the same reaction as me, but the reaction of just like, all right, well, I'm just gonna kind of walk away from this show. And I think one of the interesting things, actually, now that I think about it, Adventure Time at a point for like 2 or 3 years had a new episode like every week. Like
Yeah.
every week, because of the way like the first 2 seasons were produced kind of like really close to each other, like really fast.
hmm
Um They were, and because they aired 11-minute segments at a time, which was also something that was new for Cartoon Network, I believe, and new in general. I don't know that I've ever seen a show air like explicitly 11-minute new episodes at a time, which I think is really great because you spread it out. But yeah, there was a time when they kept airing episodes, and I remember it was, I think, after season 5 that there, or I don't know, around season 5 or 6, somewhere in there is when we start to see these long gaps. And right now, it's been a long gap since an episode. It's been a few months, and I believe they still have the season finale to air.
Well, yeah. Plus, there's like 40 episodes in season 6.
Yeah. But like I think I don't know. I think maybe that would have something to do with it. People got used to seeing it, and then as soon as they did take that gap, people kind of fell off a little. Also, maybe just, with all these other shows coming up in Cartoon Network and even Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon's had some shows that have been, pretty well regarded. Harvey Beaks and Loud House, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's just more to watch than back then, because back then it was like, not only was Cartoon Network kind of in a rut of like, well, we're trying to get away from seeing real, but Nickelodeon wasn't doing too well either in terms of what the content was. So it might just be that Adventure Time didn't have that much competition, and now it genuinely does. It does have to compete with stuff like Steven Universe. It's not super surprising to see that the show is ending. I mean, and again, to be fair, it's gonna get like 8-9 seasons, something like that. It's a long running
really
show.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on a little bit. Do you have any idea what's going on with the movie? Because a year ago, year and a half ago, it was announced that there was going to be a theatrical Adventure Time movie, and it's always tough with these announcements because you never quite know if they're real. Everyone was like, "Oh, the Nicktoons movie," and that ended up being exactly nothing. Or maybe it will come back and become something, and I'll look like an idiot here. So it's hard to tell exactly what's happening. I tried to look around. I didn't really find anything. Did you find any news on that?
Well, yeah, I found this article on Polygon, and it was I think New York Comic Con last year, and the executive producer Adam Muto, he said that Pendleton Ward's still working on developing the premise of it, but that was obviously over a year ago, and they still haven't really announced something. In that initial article, they did say though that supposedly people that worked on the Lego Movie were supposed to direct it. And if it does happen, it will be the first theatrical movie from Cartoon Network since the Powerpuff Girls movie from 2002.
Wow. Maybe they'll just scrap this Adventure Time movie and just do a Powerpuff Girls reboot movie. Just remake the movie.
Oh God.
No. Yeah. I don't know. Especially with like announcing the show's gonna end. Like, typically you want to kind of jump while the iron is hot. So I feel like if this is still happening, I feel like we'd hear news sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, also just like you said, the show has declined so much in popularity. So I mean, there is a possibility that it did get scrapped.
Yeah, and I think that'd be unfortunate, but I feel like if they were to scrap it, they'd at least do a TV movie, maybe as the finale, maybe towards the end of the series. Just because it sounds like they have some idea. It sounds like Penn has kind of something working. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't know that this is going to happen because yeah, why would you announce it last year and then stay completely quiet on it? Even right now is probably as popular and well known as the show's going to be. It's going to only go down in the coming years. But right now, since everyone's all talking about the show ending, it seems like the perfect PR move to say, "Hey, look, the show's ending, but you can buy your ticket, pre-order your ticket in 3 years. The movie's coming out." Or there may have just been a development problem because Cartoon Network hasn't done a movie since the Powerpuff Girls movie over a decade ago now. Maybe they just they're dragging their feet. I don't know. Hard
and
to
the
say.
reason they haven't done a theatrical movie since is because the Powerpuff Girls movie is looked at as a failure, not only critically but financially. It didn't do very well at the box office. So there was obviously, before like Samurai Jack season 5 was announced, they were supposed to do a Samurai Jack movie to conclude the series, but that never happened. So
yeah, I don't know. But just be wary about information you see out there, because again, even like all the stuff that I saw announcing the movie, I seem to remember it being like a solid announcement. But even all the stuff I saw was kind of like well, we're probably going to do a movie, like not super solid on that. How would you like the show to end? Like, what do you want the show to do for a finale? Do you want it to have a finale, or should it just be like, here's an 11-minute episode that's just there.
Well, yeah, I mean, there could be a conclusion. I mean, I don't know if I would be very satisfied if they just kind of did like a thing where it's like, "Yay, let's do adventures forever."
The adventure goes on. By the
Yeah.
way, Tara is back. No. uh yeah, I mean I have an idea. I my thought would be that it would be something about, because if there's been like two overarching things in the seasons as they've gone on, is that Finn's getting older
Hmm.
and Jake is also getting older, but in the sense that he's more settling down, whereas Finn is more like ramping up. Because Finn wants to become the super manly adventurer. So
Hmm.
my thought is that the natural conclusion would be that Jake doesn't want to adventure anymore. He's tired. He's old. In dog years, he's like getting up there. He wants to just kind of settle down with Lady. Meanwhile, Finn wants to like explore everything and go beyond Ooh, whether that means like other planets or the other side of Ooh. I don't know if Ooh is the entire planet, whatever.
Hmm.
So Finn wants to travel, Jake wants to leave, so they kind of have to part ways, and they go on one last adventure in like the most dangerous area of Ooh that Finn hasn't experienced yet. And maybe Finn does it as a way to try to get Jake to like want to adventure again. Maybe Jake does it as a way to try to get Finn to like settle down a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, and along the way, you got to have a resolution for the Ice King. Like, if there's one thing that I absolutely need in an ending, it's a resolution for Simon and Betty. Like, the thing about Adventure Time and the story in Adventure Time is that it's been ever drifting and has been doing a lot of weird turns that I'm not super fond of. And
Hmm.
also things that like I don't like. How do you resolve everything that's gone on Adventure Time? I don't think they can. I'm not expecting something that will resolve every little thing because they've introduced so many things.
Yeah, it's really weird because I would love to know like what happened before the apocalypse in the Land of Ooh, but at the
Mm.
same time, the mystery of not knowing what happens kind of I feel adds to the story and to the atmosphere a little bit. So
I think stakes is as much as we're gonna get of that. It's
yeah,
it, you know it's weird because for all the time Adventure Time's been on, there's never been a TV movie. They've never done one.
yeah, that's true.
They did like two-parters, they did three-parters. I think they've even done a four-parter. And of course there's Stakes miniseries,
Hmm.
but they've never done like a traditional Cartoon Network TV movie. Do they still do that with Cartoon Network shows? Because that used to be a big thing. Billy and Mandy had TV movies, and
Oh
Kids Next
yeah,
Door had
from
TV movies.
like 2005 to like 2007, they did Operation Zero with Codename Kids Next Door. They
Mm-hmm.
did My Gym Partner's a Monkey. Yeah, even some of the most
My Gym Partner's a Monkey got a TV movie.
even
That's
some of the
funny.
most unpopular shows at the time got TV
Mm-hmm.
movies. But yeah, we had the regular show movie last year.
That's true. That's true. But they don't seem to do TV movies as much anymore. Because that like Steven Universe never didn't get one. The closest it's had is Bismuth,
Well, yeah,
which was
that's
just a 22-minute. Yep.
the one before regular show the movie was Ed and Eddie's Big Picture Show back in 2009. So, well, with the exception of some of the Ben 10 ones, but I don't like to count those.
That's true. Yeah, most of those are live action anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they won't do that. Maybe it'll just be just a 22-minute episode. I think they should go out with a bang. I'd like to see a TV movie from them, or the theatrical movie if that were to happen.
That
That'd
would
be a
be
nice
nice.
finale. But the problem with that is if they write the ending in such a way of like, oh, continued in the TV in the movie, and the movie gets scrapped. Oops.
It's like if you want to know how Adventure Time ends, go pay $10 for a movie ticket.
That may not happen. Um so yeah, so that's kind of the way I would like it to end. Yeah, I mean, but I could very much see there being one of those endings that's just like just another day in Ooh, and like the adventure will continue. But I think that's a cop out for as much as Adventure Time has done, for all the interesting places that the story has gone. It'd be kind of weird to just end it on a non-ending. But
Exactly. I would
I
love to
don't.
not be like I want there to be a twist. I don't want to be
Mhm.
surprised by the ending. Or I do want to be surprised.
Yeah, I was
Correction.
gonna say, I need this ending to be as predictable as possible. Throw in all of the cliches. No, yeah. I mean, again, Adventure Time is lauded as one of the most experimental cartoons out there, and so to have it do like one of those stupid cliche cartoon endings where there is no ending, it's just another whatever. I think that would be a super big cop out. But Adventure Time has also done their fair share of cop-outs, so I don't know.
That's
Maybe
true.
Finn. You know what I'd like in a finale? I'd like Finn to lose his arm, and it'll actually stick this time.
Or Princess Bubblegum stays like a kid.
Yeah. Every change that they've done and then reversed on Adventure Time, unreverse it.
They could pull like a Futurama and have like Princess Bubblegum invent like a time machine or something.
Ooh, that's actually kind of interesting. I don't know that the show's. I'm trying to think if they've ever done. Oh, they have done time travel, but not
Mhm.
in an extensive way. Only
Well, they done a lot of
in.
flashbacks too.
Yes. But it'd be interesting to see. I don't know. Maybe Finn now reacting to Finn in the first season.
Oh god.
um.
It's like looking back at my old YouTube videos.
Oh. All right. Do you have anything else to say about the show ending? Any last words about like the show's legacy or anything like that?
Not really. No, like I said, I mean, I wasn't really surprised to hear this, and yeah, Adventure Time had a great run.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see how much of an impact it left on Cartoon Network and animation is in general. So
Absolutely. I mean, I think what you said at the start was pretty accurate. Even though people actually watching the show might like that might be on at an all-time low, and even though, I don't know how many people are going to watch it even after it's gone. I think that the characters of Finn and Jake and the symbol of what that show represents, like the adventure and the
friendship,
craziness and yeah, that will live on. I think that no matter what, people will remember that. That's not something, in the way that people still remember the Powerpuff Girls, the Powerpuff Girls I'm talking about. Um, in the way that people still kind of remember that for its themes and stuff, even if they don't necessarily still watch that old show. People will remember Finn and Jake and Adventure Time, and so I don't think that we're in any danger of that happening. But I guess on one last word, I would like there to be an Adventure Time like show. I would like there to be a new one, not a spin-off, not like a reboot, nothing actually related to Adventure Time. But I would like to see Cartoon Network have another show in a similar vein where it's like anything could happen, and it's just this crazy world, and there's adventure and there's fun. I'd like to see another show like that. Steven
totally.
Universe is like Adventure Time in a lot of ways, but like it doesn't have the kind of it's a little more grounded, and I'd like to see another show take on that grand scope that Adventure Time did.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know how you do that without like making it be this obnoxious, like, here's Adventure Time again, kids, watch this. Because I don't want a replacement Goldfish. But I'd like to see something kind of carry on with the kind of stories that Adventure Time tells. And I don't know that there's going to be another show like that. So yeah, I mean, I will miss Adventure Time.
Same.
Not crying over it, but it's a show unlike a lot of other shows, and so I think that's something that is definitely to be remembered.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd say it's like leaving on a good note per se, but it's like it's not leaving on a bad note.
Well, you don't know. There's still like 2 seasons they have
That's
to air.
true.
I mean, I this is why I'm glad it's getting canceled sooner than later, just because it has the potential to really go downhill. I mean, they made Jake a terrible father, and that hurts me deeply inside.
Yep.
Uh, there's unfortunate things they can do with the story, so let's just keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, it's not, to be fair, it's not ending in like just like a really awful, everyone hates the show and wants nothing to do with it now note.
Exactly.
So far anyway, let's just keep our fingers crossed. And it is weird that we are sitting here talking about this, even though technically it's 2 more years, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's over, but it's not gone by any means yet. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for being on my channel, and I believe there is a video on your channel right now that the good folks can go and click over to if they're interested, where we discuss something else.
Yeah. We talked about fandoms and how they influence shows and how they can change your opinion or view on shows.
And so if you want to see that, please click the annotations and cards and description links and everything, and go check us out over there. And thank you so much for being on my channel.
Yeah, no
And with
problem.
that, PIEGUYRULZ out. Say bye.
Bye.